The news van arrived on site. Quickly, a reporter unloaded his equipment and took a gaze at the scene. The whole building, with its construction site, was engulfed in black rhizomes. The vehicles for demolition work were all covered as well, even part of the ground. The rhizomic mass formed an elliptical form around the building as a center. The reporter stood at the edge of the boundary and focused his lens on the building. He got it in view. The moment he shot it a bit, the image froze and he widened his eyes. Black rhizomes were forming out of the center of the image. Slowly but steadily, he let his camera drop. The rhizomes spread now around the small camera as a new propagation core. He hopped back into the van, and as they tried to retreat, a colleague of his couldn't resist to take another picture. The van stopped, and screams were heard as the news van crashed into the next ditch. Then the screams subsided, and the van grew silent. Back at the shelter, Jason was interviewed by another reporter.
"Here's my magnifying glass."
He handed it to the reporter. He was afraid touching it.
"Jason, please behave,"
his mother said.
"We are on TV."
The reporter turned to the mother.
"Tell us exactly what happened from your point of view." We barely survived. The furniture in our apartment didn't move at all anymore. Then it spread around the whole building. Luckily, I took initiative to warn the others and assemble a group, and even call the landlord to jump into action.
Her delivery was interrupted as the father's TV began to on itself in the background. He sat on a chair and stared at it unfazed.
"Transmission 04, near arrival. Target acquired. Visual confirmation stable. The surface is not uniform. It seems to branch. We are receiving internal reflections from within the structure. That isn't possible at this distance. Holding position."
The reporter swung his camera now back towards Jason, who was sitting down, showing the reporter what he exactly did to get the light beam concentrated. The reporter put his hand in his pocket and reached out with a package of gums. He handed one to Jason. He took it.
"Thanks, sir."
He put one in his mouth and started to chew. Back at the building, new vehicles arrived, mostly other news stations, this time more distant and worried about their well-being, 'cause there seems to be something spreading from the ground. It was clearly the rhizomes trying to expand now on their own. They refrained from taking any pictures, especially 'cause the van in front of them looked like it had a crash, and the whole scene seemed off. Even the atmosphere around the place turned slightly darker, as if the light around it grew too heavy to reflect the light. The reverse gear kicked in, and the crew faster left the place, now on the run, but the rhizome was still not as fast as them. Inside the van, another news agent announced himself on one screen.
"We're coming to you live from what officials are calling an unusual structural event, but what you're about to see suggests something far more significant. We have exclusive images of the formation inside residential buildings. It appears to grow, to branch, almost like a network. Authorities are urging distance, but we believe the public deserves to see this. If you are near one of these sites, you can verify this yourself. We are urging viewers to document and share. This could be one of the most important discoveries in recent... This is a government advisory. Reports indicate the presence of a rapidly spreading formation within multiple structures. Its behavior is not yet fully understood. Citizens are urged to distance themselves from any affected areas and comply with evacuation notices. Government units will arrive shortly to contain the situation. Further information will be provided when available.
Orbital feed, thermal overlay, sector grid active. A map fills the frame. Warm colors dominate. Then irregular branching cold patches appear, spreading along building lines.
Are those dropouts? Negative. Those are temperature inversions. Inversions? Don't branch like that. It's following the structures, walls, floors, like it's mapping them. Check sensors, integrity. Already did. All arrays agree. That's below ambient. It's pulling. Heat out. Mark those zones.
They're not static.
Meaning?
They're spreading.
Tag it. No momentum.
Locked.
The shelter had been a community hall once. Folding chairs, fluorescent lights, the smell of old coffee and floor wax. Someone had stacked plastic tables along one wall and arranged cots in rows that nobody was using because nobody could sleep. It was getting cold. Not dramatically, not all at once, just incrementally. The kind of cold that arrives without announcing itself, that you notice first in your fingers, then your shoulders, then somewhere deeper than your shoulders. People had started keeping their coats on. Children were wrapped in blankets that didn't seem to be doing much. Someone had checked the heating twice and reported it was running fine. The thermometer on the wall said 18 degrees. Nobody believed the thermometer. Jason's mother had found the reporter before the reporter found her. She was explaining again to anyone who would listen how she had been the one taking initiative, how she had assembled the neighbors, how she had contacted the landlord, how without her intervention the situation would have been considerably worse. The reporter was listening with the practical patience of someone who is waiting for the more interesting person in the room. That person was Jason. He was sitting on a folding chair 3 meters away, demonstrating with his hands and occasionally with a magnifying glass which he had produced from his jacket pocket exactly what he had done that morning outside. The light, the angle, the stone, the way the gum had felt warm afterward. "Jason," his mother said without breaking her own sentence, "please behave. We are on television." The reporter took a small step toward Jason. Can I ask you something?" Jason looked up, nodded. The reporter reached into his jacket pocket again, produced another small package, held it out. "More chewing gum?" Jason looked at it for a moment. Then he took another piece, unwrapped it, put it again in his mouth. "Thanks," he said. He began to chew. His mother's voice continued somewhere behind them, explaining something about responsibility. In a corner of the shelter, Jason's father sat in a folding chair facing the wall-mounted television. The television was off. He was watching it anyway. He had been sitting there for 2 hours in his coat, with his hands in his lap,
perfectly still, with the expression of a man waiting for something he has already decided will arrive. His breath came out visible now, small clouds forming and dissolving in front of his face. The cold was worse in his corner. The fluorescent light above him flickered occasionally, as if something in the circuit was drawing more than its share. He didn't seem to notice. Then the television turned on one final time. No one touched it. No remote, no timer. It simply decided. The screen filled with static for 3 seconds. Then an image resolved, grainy, compressed, the quality of a signal coming from very far away. 2 figures in white suits against absolute black. Stars behind them, the curved blue line of Earth below. They were not moving.
This is Mission Control. We are attempting to re-establish contact with confirmed loss of propulsion systems across both units. Course currently, they appear to be...
The father leaned forward slightly, the only movement he had made in 2 hours. His breath came out in a long, slow cloud. The screen flickered.
We are receiving no response from either astronaut. Telemetry suggests they are...
The image froze. Mid-word, mid-sentence, the reporter's mouth open on a syllable that never arrived. The 2 white figures suspended between a station and a void, going nowhere, pointed at nothing, with all the patience of things that have stopped. The father stared at the frozen frame. Around him, the cold deepened. A child somewhere in a shelter started crying, not dramatically, just the low, continuous sound of someone who has decided crying is the only reasonable response to the temperature. Jason was still chewing. His mother was still talking. The thermometer on the wall clicked down 1 degree, then another. The television stayed frozen. The astronauts stayed where they were, outside, somewhere. The black rhizomes were very slowly branching toward the shelter's foundations, patient, thorough, unhurried, the way things move when they have already won and simply haven't announced it yet. No!